Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Module 2, Google Classroom Basics. This is for those that are at the beginning stages of Google Classroom. We anticipate that many of you out there either have never touched Google Classroom before, or maybe you've barely used it and you're certainly looking for more information today, and we'll definitely take you through that. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce our team. Again, my name is Frankie Indalecio. I'm an instructional coach with the Guam Department of Education, and I have partnered with me, Christopher Leon Guerrero, also an instructional coach with the elementary schools. I also have Christina Cade, a district mentor for the entire district, of course. Unfortunately, our other partner, Tara Cruz, was unable to join us this afternoon. She is a middle school instructional coach. And before we continue on, I wanted to share some ground rules for everyone. This is a Zoom webinar mode. And in the Zoom webinar mode, everyone has been automatically muted. Again, as Chris mentioned earlier, we have a Q&A button at the bottom. So we'd like to ask that if any of you have any questions to kind of drop them into the Q&A. It helps us to kind of keep things organized. Again, in the chat box, if you haven't done so yet, please include 3 items: your full name, your school name, and your email address. And this will also help us to monitor for attendance purposes. For those of you that are looking to earn the 1 graduate credit that's being offered, it's important that you attend all 4 modules, modules 1 through 4. However, if you are a middle or high school teacher, it's important that you include module 7 with your attendance as well. We are meeting for the first time today. This is our 3rd round. You are all Group C, so we've missed you for the first 2 rounds. And so we're glad you're able to join us this afternoon. And after our initial session today, we will be offering a follow-up session, which will provide a scheduled time for that later. The first 2 groups were able to attend a follow-up session as well. The follow-up session is not a requirement to earn the 1 credit. This session is being recorded and it will be made available to all of you as well. We also want to remind everyone that we do have Board Policy 379. It's basically, in a nutshell, it ensures that we are utilizing the GDOE network for its intended purpose. There is a document that you are expected to agree with and sign if you are going to expect access to the internet connection. And also, if you are utilizing GDOE issued equipment, this form is also available to our students and parents to agree to as well. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that already. And so without further ado, we're going to begin, and I'm going to call on my partner, Christina, to share with you our objectives for this afternoon.
All right, hi everybody. So the training objectives that we're going to be going through, this module will take you through the basics of setting up and managing your Google Classrooms. Oops, my slides are not working. First, we'll start with Google email, where we'll just go through real quickly composing, creating group emails, creating tabs, archiving. We'll go through Google Classroom from a teacher view and also from a student view, where from the teacher view, you'll be posting to the stream, creating classwork, adding and deleting people, and managing feedback and grades. From the student view, you'll learn how to join a class, how to utilize the stream or view the stream, and locate and complete your classwork. And then the last thing we will cover will be Google Meet and Google Chats, talking about the features and how to sync everything. And just so you know, we're doing this last webinar, this last session a little differently than what we've done previously. We're going live, so we're gonna do with you. So it's kind of gonna be one of these I do, you do things. And I also wanna point out, we can't see you. So we're just going to like give you a little bit of time to do things, and then hopefully you're able to do those within the time that's allotted. Okay, so hope you enjoy the training. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Frankie, who is going to take you through Google email.
Thanks, Tina. Let me start that again. I just found out I was on mute. Okay, so as Tina shared earlier, we are going live with this, and we did prepare a PowerPoint with slides for all of you. And so later, when you do get a chance to go through those slides, you'll find that there's some slides with a button on the top corner that says play video. If a slide has that option on there, you can click on that and it'll play a video that gives you a recording of the information on that particular slide. There's just so much information that we'll be sharing with you. And so there's many different tutorials in there that will be accessible to you later when you do get a chance to see those slides. Again, there's an evaluation at the end of this session. It's really important that you complete that. It'll be great feedback for us as well on how we can continue to grow the quality of the modules that we provide to the district. Okay, so I'm going to be discussing Gmail and its functions, and let me go ahead and share my screen with all of you. And so in here, I'm going to go through a few things regarding your Gmail, and this is really basic. I'm hoping that you'll be able to learn a thing or two if you are familiar with the Gmail suite and the Gmail function as well. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to take you step by step on composing and deleting emails, creating group emails, creating tabs, schedule and snoozing your emails, and lastly, archiving emails. Okay, and one of the things that we wanted to really push out there was when you do log into your laptop, and all of you are online, I'm thinking most of you may be using the Google Chrome browser, the web browser. There are other web browsers such as the Microsoft Edge. Maybe some of you are still using Microsoft Explorer, and maybe there's a few of you out there using Mozilla Firefox. But we wanted to encourage all of you to utilize the Google Chrome web browser, and you'll find that you won't have as much of a conflict in some of the things that you try to do if you're using the Chrome browser compared to the other browsers that are out there. And so what you see before you on your screen is my email inbox, and many of you are familiar with this. And so I just wanted to kind of go through some of the basic features that are here. And so what you see right here on this middle section are a list of all of the emails that have been sent to you. And up on the top, you might need to search. It says search mail. And so in here, you'll be able to search for a particular email that you may have read from the past. And so you'd like to kind of go back and review that email. So you can definitely search for that. On the far right, there's an arrow pointing down, and when you click on that, you can kind of really customize your filter or filter down what specific email you're looking for, kind of like when you're doing some online shopping. So if I'm shopping for my son, I'm probably going to filter it down to children's, and then if I'm looking for clothing, I'll select clothing and maybe select the gender and things like that. This can kind of offer some of those features for you. So like, let's say, for example, I need to find an email that my buddy over here, Chris, sent me. So I'm going to go ahead and like type in his name. And just by typing in his first name, you'll see that there's a drop down of so many people whose names begin with Chris. And so I can see his name right here. And if I click on that, his email address would pop up. And notice that I'm including this information in the column or the row that says from. So these are emails from Chris. So if I click on search, let's see what happens here. I'll find a list specifically emails either from Chris or maybe it came from Chris and some other people. So this is one way that you can definitely narrow down your emails when searching. And then to kind of go back to where we came from, there's different ways of doing that. I usually like to click on this inbox button over here whenever I kind of want to go back to scratch. I'll just click on inbox and it brings me back to this whole space called the inbox. On the left side over here, this is called the navigation panel. There's a lot of things going on within the navigation panel. And I wanted to share a couple of things here. So it starts off with some kind of general standard default portions of the navigation panel, such as your inbox, starred, snoozed, important, and I'll go through some of those as I move along in this session. There's labels, and you'll see kind of like this line here running from left to right. And this line here basically, it shows you a divider between what's all part of the navigation panel and then some other functions. They've added some other things as well. And so I can certainly wait for my cursor to show two lines and pull it down, or I can kind of scroll down and see what's further down below inside the navigation panel. Okay, the next thing I'm going to discuss is on receiving an email. And so obviously right here are all the emails that had been sent to me. So all you would need to do to read an email is to click on one. And when you click on it, it kind of opens it up and you'll see that in this case, in this example here, this email was sent to me by Eloise Sanchez. And as you scroll down, usually if there's a file that's been attached, like a memo that I need to read from Eloise or something, you'll find those usually at the bottom. So again, who it's from, and then the message in here, it says, let's compare. So that's basically what Eloise had typed out in there. And then if I wanted to kind of respond back to her, at the very bottom, underneath this attachment, there's kind of some default choices. So maybe you're kind of in a hurry and you wanted to respond quickly. This one kind of picked up, this is the nice thing about Gmail. So it picked up some kind of default options to consider. This says agreed, let's do it, or yes. And it's not always these three options. Sometimes the email can detect what the content of it is to kind of offer some default responses. Or I can just simply click on reply and I can decide on what specific message I would like to send back to Eloise. The other button forward is if I wanted to take this exact information and send it off to another colleague, such as maybe Chris. So I have those two options here as well. Now I'm going to talk about sending an email. So again, I like to click on this inbox button here just to kind of bring me back. I consider this kind of like my home page, if you will. Now, when we're looking at sending an email, we usually are composing our thoughts together in our mind about what we want to say and who do we need to send a message to. And on the left side of your screen is a compose button. So when you click on the compose button, this window will pop up. And you can see here on the top left, it says new message. On the far right, you have three functions here. This line here just allows me to put the message down here on the bottom for a minute. Maybe I wanted to put it aside and I'll come back to it in a couple minutes or two. When I wanted to bring it back up, just click on that line again and it opens it back up. These two arrows pointing together kind of just resize it to a smaller window. And then if I click on it again, let me move this here. If I click on it again, it just brings it back to its normal size. And then the X would mean that I'm just gonna cancel this out. I don't need to send this. I changed my mind, or I'll work on this later. Let me just close this out. I don't need this right now. So just click on the X. Now going back again, looking at the first set of information here, it says two. So this is where you would type down the email address of anybody in the network that within the DOE that you'd like to send an email to. And within uh, our email, it has a listing of all of the employees and all of the students. So any names that you type in here, it is designed so that it'll search for students or employees of those names. So if I were to type in Chris, then I would find all of these people here, and I could select Chris's name to add to this email. Let's say I want to also include Christina in this email, so I'm going to type her first name, and I could see her name popping up here, and I could select that as well. And you can select as many people as you like. Of course, I'm doing this manually one at a time, and then I'll share with you in a bit how to kind of do this in a more efficient way. The next line you see is a subject, and this is where you kind of want to type out the gist of what this email is about. So let's say, for example, I'd like to schedule a meeting with them, but I wanted to see what their schedules look like for Friday. Maybe I can call this subject meeting on Friday, put a question mark maybe. That way they can see I'm kind of asking this. And of course, you could do this in other means. It doesn't have to be through an email. You can send them a text message if you want. Um, but the whole idea of the subject line here is just to kind of give them a gist of it. Let them see what this email could be about. Sometimes the subject line is really key before people usually open up their email. They kind of wanted to see what is it about before they read into it. And so I can see like, hey guys, wondering if you're available on Friday to meet in the library. Let me know, or anything like that. Whatever message you'd like to put in there. Yes. Sure. Okay. So while we're in here in creating an email, um, let me click back on this top line where it says to. Okay. So right now this email is scheduled to go out to Chris and to Tina. Then we have two options over here on the very far right of that same row. There's a CC and there's a BCC. And so you can also pick this option here. If I click on CC, what happens is another row would pop up, and these are people that you kind of want to share the email with. So I'm trying to set up a meeting here with Chris and Tina, but I want my principal to kind of be in on the loop to see that I'm trying to set up a meeting with my department, or I'm trying to set up a meeting with my grade level. And then she can see, open up the email and say, oh, okay, these guys are setting up a meeting. I can see that they're really trying to plan out, their lessons or whatever it may be. I just kind of wanted to keep her in the loop or him in the loop. That's what you could use the CC for. I haven't really used the BCC feature, but I believe the B stands for blind CC. And so let's say, for example, I wanted to share this email with Tara as well, but maybe I don't really need to disclose that to Chris and Tina. Then I can share it to Tara, but Chris and Tina wouldn't know that, only Tara would. So off the top of my head, I can't think of a situation where I would want to share it with someone and not have the others know about it. Um, but maybe it could be students, and maybe there's a confidentiality issue. But just know that the blind CC does offer you a way to share it with others without disclosing who the email is being shared with and their email address. It could be maybe networking with someone outside of our school district, and maybe you'd like to keep the email address confidential for whatever it may be. That's what the blind CC could be for. I'm thinking along the lines of maybe like CPS or things of that nature, when you're trying to communicate, but you're also trying to keep things confidential. That might be another way for you to use a blind CC function. I hope that helps. Thank you for the question. It's a great one. So after you do get a chance to compose, then at the bottom, I mean, you have kind of some functions here that you could click on. This is more so on customizing the body of your email. I'm not going to go through them, but they are there for you to utilize, as well as other options here, such as attaching things. But if it's just a standard message to an individual or groups of people, after that, you would just click on send and it just goes off to them. And I'll talk about Snooze in a bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this X here. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on, what I just did. Okay, now I'm going to share some information on creating groups. And so what you're able to do is, maybe some of you have heard these 9 dots here. We kind of reference them as the waffle. And when you click on this waffle here, it opens up all of the G Suite functions for you. I mean, right now on the screen, you're seeing Meet, my account, there's my Google Drive, I'm in my Gmail, there's Classroom and Docs and so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Groups. Now, when I click on Groups, it opens up a brand new tab. So you can see here's my email, and there's another tab, and it's called Groups. And so that one's loading. Just give it a minute to load. Okay, great. So now we're in here, and what you are presented with are 4 options here. It's usually by default on the first one, which is My Groups. So here's a list of all of the groups that I'm in. And so if we're going to create a group, you would just click again, kind of like composing an email. You would click on Create Group, and this window will pop up. And when this window pops up, you're presented with some general functions here. Here it's called a group name. So let's say, for example, I wanted to create a group just for our team that's presenting Module 2 to all of you. So I'm going to call this one Module 2 Team, right? Simple, a simple, easy name, Module 2 Team. On the next line, what it does is it generates an email address for this group. And here by default, it called it module-2-team@gdoe.net. Then I can create, or I can add in here a group description. This team shares beginner information with Gmail and Google Classroom. Okay, just some kind of standard description here. And then I would click on next. And in here, I have some other options in here regarding privacy. So you can kind of play around with this and go through them and see what the different functions are. And let's just say I wanted to kind of leave everything the way it is right now. I'll just go to next here, and I can add in group members. So right now I haven't added anyone in. I just kind of named the group and created like an email address. So now, of course, this is where I wanted to add Chris in here. I'll add Tina and Tara. So while you're adding these names in here, you might find, let's say, for example, my brother, he's not employed with DOE, but let me just try to type his name in there. His name is Heath. So I'm looking at this listing here, and this listing is called the directory. So there's all these names that pop up, and I'm like, okay, let me find Heath in Delatio in here. Let's see. Okay, I don't see his name in here. So it's either one of two things. Either one, he hasn't been added into the directory, or he's not within the GDOE network. And in this case, he's not within the GDOE network. So I wouldn't be able to add him in. Let me just erase this. So I would only be able to add groups within the GDOE network. Usually when employees retire, there comes a point where their Gmail gets deactivated, which means that they wouldn't have access in there anymore. I can add in here group managers if I wanted to. This section tells you that I'm obviously the group owner of this. I'm the one who's creating it. And I can put in here a welcome message, and I haven't really messed with this subscription here. I just kind of leave that one on its own, and I click on create group. So now I'm displayed with a window that shows me the name of the group, which is called Module 2 Team, and it has the email address, and then it says there are 4 members in here. And then I can click on the option to go to group. Let's see what that looks like. Now remember, I'm still in the groups tab, so everything's happening within that same tab for groups. So it's opening up. My internet is kind of slow. So basically now it shows me a space here, and it says no conversations yet. So I haven't had communication with this group. That's why it looks like this. And if I go back up to my groups, I'll be displayed again with all of the groups that I created. And I believe this group was called Module 2 Team. So let me scroll down, and you can see right here, it says Module 2. I'm not sure what, oh, this is a different Module 2. Oh, here it is. So here's the Module 2 team that I had just created. And if you want, there's options over here. If I were to click on this white box, then I can click down here. Oh, this is the same thing that I was mentioning earlier. I believe it's like categorizing your groups. And so if you don't want that group anymore, you would be able to delete that. Let me go back down. Let me open up this group. And I did this earlier. Okay, pardon me. It was available earlier for me to delete that group. I'll just go ahead and leave it in there, but that would be basically how you'd want to create one. Now, like I shared earlier, I was in the groups tab. So if I go back to my email and I wanted to send that group a message, first I noticed that I got an email from, and it's called Module 2 Team, and it basically is an email that goes to your inbox that says a group was created. So now if I want to compose an email and send them a message, I can just type in their Module 2, and I can see that I have options here. We had seen this one earlier, and here's the one that I had just created, which is called Module 2 Team. Now, I want to really emphasize that you do this. Once you're typing out names, like here, once I start typing out MODU, the directory starts to read who's under kind of like with the letters that begin in that name. And if I were to type it out, Module 2 Team, and if I just kind of click outside of here, that's what it looks like. And if it looks like this, then your email will be unsuccessful. It would not reach that team. So it's really important. I'm going to delete that and do it again, MODUL. It's really important that you select it from the directory. And you'll see later on too, when Chris and Tina talk in Google Classroom, you'll see why that's important. So now that I clicked it, it's kind of like within this like long circular shape. That's how you know that the email is active and it'll be good to go for me to send. And then again, I can fill out the subject, the body, and then go to the bottom and hit send. Okay. Now, I wanted to mention here, I've been clicking on this X. On the bottom right corner, there's a trash can. And so if I don't want this draft that I'm putting together, if I don't want it, I would simply throw it away in the trash can. So I'm going to click that, and now it's like completely gone. Okay, now I'm going to discuss the snooze and schedule send feature. So here again in my inbox, I have a list of all of my emails. And one of the cool functions and features of the snooze is, let's say, for example, going back to the email that was sent to me earlier by Eloise, I'm seeing here on her subject, she sent me a forward that says acceptable use policy. This is something that I want to read, but I'm just not able to read it right now. Let's say maybe I want to read it tomorrow morning before I start my day. And if I'm going to start my day around 8 o'clock, I probably want to read it maybe around 7 o'clock. I should be able to have enough time to read that email. So what I'm going to do is, you can see if I move my mouse around, it kind of activates different emails. So I want to make sure I'm on the row there for this email, and on the far right, there's a clock. And if I just hover over it, that word snooze shows up. See that? So when I click on that, it says snooze until, and so it gives you some default functions here. I can snooze it until later on today at 6, or tomorrow, or later this week. But what I wanted to do is tomorrow at 7 o'clock a.m. This one says tomorrow at 8 o'clock. So that's too late. If I open that up, I won't be able to read it. I'll be busy doing some other tasks. So I want to do it tomorrow at 7 o'clock. So I'm going to go down to the bottom and select pick date and time. And so now I can see the calendar. Today is Tuesday, August 4th. So it has tomorrow's bubble for the 5th already selected. And it says 8 o'clock. So I'm going to change this one to 7 o'clock. And let me just double check. This is August 5th, tomorrow at 7 a.m. Good. So once I click save, you'll notice that the email from Eloise is gone. So tomorrow at 7 o'clock, that email will reappear, and I'll see it, and I'll be like, oh, there's that email that I wanted to read. I mean, some of you can kind of just go into your inbox tomorrow at 7 and read it, and then others kind of want it to like reappear and remind them, if you will. The other feature that I wanted to share with you is the schedule send. So let's say I'm going to send, let's say it's Friday afternoon, and I want to send an email to my principal, and but I'd like for the principal to read it Monday morning. So let's say, for example, Ms. Castro from one of girls, one of my principals. So I'm going to send her an email, and maybe there's like a meeting scheduled next week, and I'm not going to be able to make it to that meeting. So maybe the subject can be absence from meeting, the subject there, and then maybe I can say, you know, oh, hi, Mrs. Castro. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it to the meeting on Tuesday. I will see you sometime next week to reschedule, or something like that, whatever it may be, right? And so, like I said, it's like Friday afternoon, or maybe even some of you are still working on a Saturday, and you want to send this email, but you don't want her to see it yet until Monday. Maybe for whatever reason it may be, maybe you don't want to disrupt her in the weekend, or you just don't want the email to go at this point in time. Instead of clicking on send, you can click on the arrow. And when you click on it, it gives you the option to schedule send. So when I click schedule send, similarly to the snooze feature, I'm displayed with options again. And I can schedule it for tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, or I can pick a date and time. And so once I set that all up, and I did this earlier, I prepared it. And so what happens is I'm going to trash this email, but I did schedule one earlier, and the email again would go away. and you're like, you know what? I did want to send it to her on Monday, but I realized that I want to send it on another day, or maybe I want to change the time. So when you go to the left side again on your navigation panel, again, you have the default options up here. There's one that's called scheduled, and I can see it says there's one email that's scheduled. So when I click on it, I can see that, oh, I guess I deleted it earlier. So let me go back. My apologies. Let me compose this. Miss Castro, just meeting. And then you would fill in your email body. I'm not even gonna type the whole thing again. You kind of get the gist of it, but let me schedule this for tomorrow, or I'm sorry, Monday at, let's say she's an early riser and I know she's on the campus by 6 a.m. So maybe I can have it arrive into her inbox at 6:15 a.m. and I schedule that. Okay, so the email is scheduled to be sent. And when I click on schedule, there it is. So here's the email that's scheduled to go to her. And when you click on it, right now it shows that it's send schedule for Monday, August 10 at 6:15. And I can cancel this send if I want to, or I can leave it as is. I'm gonna cancel the send because I wanted to change it, right? That's not the time that I want it to. So I'm back to my draft again, and here's where I can go back down and make the changes that I need to. Again, click on the arrow, schedule send. I'm gonna do it for next week, Monday, but now I can change the time that I wanted to. Maybe 6:15 was too early. Maybe it should be like at 7 o'clock or something. So here's where you can go in and make your changes and then reschedule that time. Okay, so we have a question about where the email could be stored. So just know that you have different features over here. Now, if you schedule an email to go out, then it will be in your scheduled folder. If you're working on an email, for example, and you don't schedule anything, you're just kind of drafting an email. So again, I'll have Chris for example, and I'm like, you know what? Okay, I don't have time to do this right now. Let me work on this email later. Now, earlier I was clicking on the X, and then I also demonstrated what happens with the trash can. So when you, again, keep in mind, when you click the trash can, this draft will be completely deleted and erased. I won't be able to go back in and work on it again. But if I click the X, then it would just go into what's called the draft. And I have 46 drafts in here. That's a lot of drafts, actually. I probably just X'd it out and never went back in again. But if I click on that, I'll be able to see, here's the subject. If I click on it, this was the one that I was drafting to Chris, and I had to click the X. I wasn't able to do anything on it. But for many of you, you might be deep into your draft. Maybe you typed a lengthy email in there, and then you'll need to go back in and kind of work on it later. Don't click on the trash can. Otherwise you're going to delete that email. Click on the X and it'll just pop it right into this draft folder. So that's where you can kind of put your temporary emails, if you will. Great question, thank you. All right, and so now sometimes an email can be sent to you and you're looking in your inbox, like, let me look at my inbox. I'm like, you know what? I don't see it. I searched on the top. I'm not finding it. And maybe some of you may have heard, sometimes the email goes to your spam folder. And so you do have the spam folder. Let me just show you how to find it. So again, on the left side in the navigation panel, you can see again, I have all my default functions here, but I also have all these folders. And they're also called labels. You can kind of think of the labels like folders. So when I scroll all the way to the bottom, I'm going to see here what's called more. And this down arrow kind of indicates that there's actually more stuff down there if I click on it. So if I click on that arrow, I have to scroll again. And here's where I can see the spam folder. Now, here's the trash folder. And I believe that when you put emails into the trash can, it probably stays there for a short period of time where you might be able to go back and recover it. And then at some point, it just dissolves. So if you accidentally click that trash can, you might still have an opportunity to go back and grab that email. So that's the spam folder. That's where you can find it. Now I'm going to talk about these labels right up here and organizing your inbox. So you can see in my example here, I have a lot of labels. I've created so many labels, and it just kind of helps to, archive all the emails that are coming through. And so what you want to do is going back down again. Here's a function here called create new label, and it has a plus sign. So if I click on that, I'll get this window that pops up, and it says new label. Please enter a new label name. So on my example over here, I mean, I have all these things going on. I tend to put stuff in here that also kind of, I'm in this inbox so often, so frequently, that I put so many things in here. Let me just cancel this for a minute. So I have all these labels in here, and the labels are categorized in alphabetical order, not by timestamp. So it's not by when you create it, but in alpha order. And then I did try numbering the labels, and it looks like it puts the numbering system first before even starting with letter A. And then I even tried using characters, an asterisk here, and it looks like it puts the asterisk before the numerical and before the alpha. So let me go back again. Create new label. So now I'm going to create another label again, and maybe I'll just call this one test label. And if I click on create, it pops up under the letter T. Then there it is, test label. And obviously when I click that, there's nothing in the test. I didn't put anything in that folder. So again, go back all the way to the top for inbox. Now, let's say, for example, I wanted to create another label to put into that test folder. I can go again to more, create new label. So now I created a test folder, and I want to put maybe a sample A folder, maybe something like that as an example. Now I want this to be inside that test folder. It's kind of like a folder within a folder, if you will. So I put sample A folder here, and I want to nest it. I'm going to click that nest button, and I'm going to nest this. If I click on this, it's going to show me all my labels. So I'm going to go down to that label I just created called test label. This is a lot of labels. There it is. So when I click on test label and I click create, this is how it looks. Here's the test label, and then it kind of like has a subfolder, which is called sample A. So it's kind of like folders within a folder. Now, if you're wondering, like, why would you want to do something like that? Let me show you what I've done. So when I was at Chief Brody, there's a lot of emails that were coming in, and I was trying to figure out how can I kind of sort that out. And so over here, it says CBMES annual files. And so what I've done was I've created nest folders or nest labels. And in here, I kind of categorize them by school year. So this one, if you hover over it, it says CBMES school year 14-15 and then 15-16. So it just kind of timestamp things for me. So if I need to look at, if I'm trying to find an email that was from maybe school year 17-18, I can go to that folder. It was just kind of a way for me to kind of organize things. So if you think of these labels over here, you can kind of think of them like folders. You can customize them. So you see how the CBMES is yellow. I have red and blue. So let me go back to that test folder or that test label. So when I hover over it, you'll see 3 dots to the far right. If you click on that, then you can click on label color, and there's different colors here. to pick from. Let me try this green. So it says changing color on multiple labels, only label test label or label test label and its sub labels. And that sub label was called sample A, I believe. So I'm only gonna do it just for the test label. Set color. And now there's the green. But I didn't do it for the sub label. See, that's why it's still dark gray. Again, inside here, there's some other features here. You guys can kind of just play around with that, you know, in your inbox at a later time. Just check that out. Just gonna kind of move forward a little bit. But I believe this is kind of coming to the tail end. Let me assign a label, an email that is. So let's see. Here's an email from Mr. Joe Sanchez, and I want to kind of take that and put it into this CNI division label that I made. I have two options. I can either click on it and drag it over to this, and you can see it's kind of yellow, but I'm still holding my mouse button down. If I let it go, it'll pop in there. But I'm not going to let it go. I'm just going to leave that back here. The other option would be to click the box, and then on the top, you have these options here. This folder with an arrow pointing to the right, when I hover, it says move to. So if I click on that, I can either type in the name of the label or I can scroll down, or it's right there actually, CNI division. If I click that, it goes away and right into this label. So if I click this label here, I can find Mr. Sanchez's email. There it is. And so that would be a way to kind of store your emails into the labels. Go back to inbox. And there's a question, yes.
Yeah, so it says here, do you have to drag and drop the email from the inbox into the folder, or does it automatically go into the folder?
So the question was, do you have to drag and drop? That's one option, and it's probably the faster option. Let me find another email here from Mr. Sanchez. Oh, here's one from Eloise. Let me drag that into the CNI folder. So if I click on it and hold it, I can drag it over and let it go, and it goes directly into that label or that folder that I created. So you can certainly drag and drop. That's much faster. But maybe, for example, you want to drag multiple emails into that one folder. Like, you know what? I want to take all of the Eloise Sanchez emails and pull it over. It's like you're not gonna really get anywhere much faster by dragging and dropping one at a time. So you would be able to select, you know, certain boxes, like I want this in the folder, this one, and this one. So like all of these emails that I've kind of checked the box on, if I click on the top folder here where it says move to, I can pick a folder, and all of those emails that I've basically activated with a check mark would go into whatever label I wanted it to go into, which I'm not going to do it this time. Let me just uncheck these. So, you know, another thing that you can do is on the far right, you would see times, and then here it starts by date. Usually it's just within the last 24 hours, right? Before it starts putting a date on it. So you can certainly like click this box on the top, and it kind of like checks everything on this page only. So over here on the far right, you can see it says 1 through 50 of 8,527 emails. So I'm displayed with just 50 emails. And I can certainly take all of these 50 emails and move them into a label if I wanted to. And then the next 50 will be displayed. So that's another way if you wanted to kind of archive things much quicker. But let me uncheck that. Thank you. That's a great question. Okay, so now there's obviously so much more to share within your Gmail, but I kind of wanted to just touch up on some basic functions. So what we're gonna do is I'm going to pause for a 5-minute break and give everyone an opportunity to stand up and stretch, grab a drink, use the restroom, or you can continue to pose questions within the Q&A located at the bottom here, and I can go ahead and respond to the questions specific to the information that I just shared with the Gmail functions and features. And then after 5 minutes, we'll jump into what all of you have been waiting for, the fun stuff, which is Google Classroom. So we'll reconvene in 5 minutes.
All right, happy day, everybody. Welcome back. Hopefully, we're able to address those questions. We're doing the best we can to get to them. So my name is Chris Leon Guerrero. So I am an instructional coach with the department, and I will get us started on Google Classroom, right? Which is what I know a lot of you are here for, but people don't realize that it's actually Google Classroom and Google Apps. And I'm so glad that Frankie's able to share so much information about emails, and he'll also be getting into Google Meets and Google Chat as well after we're done with Google Classroom. So let me share my screen so we can get started. Okay. Oh, not muted, right? I want to make sure I'm not muted. Okay, so here we go. Sorry, I was. Okay, so I was even following along with Frankie on creating groups and tabs and labels and things like that. So that's why I was there. So we'll start from here because all of you should be logged into your GDOE account. If you're not logged into your GDOE account, this may cause issues. I don't think you can actually set up a Google Classroom unless your FSIS would have to set up your DOE account, and your should automatically be set up to have admin abilities for Google Classroom. So I verify first because I'm not gonna lie to you how many times I've gone in to go to my Google Classroom and I'm frustrated because I can't seem to get into my Google Classroom just to realize that I'm not actually logged into my DOE account. I'm logged into my personal account, something like that. So what we start, where we will start is right here on the waffle, as Frankie referred to it earlier. It's the 9 dots, and I tap on that, and I'll have this drop box. Now, sometimes you might have to scroll down to find Google Classroom. Mine happens to be here, and of course you can even move it around. You can reorganize this page so that you can have all of the ones that you use the most towards the top. I remember when I first started using this, Google Classroom was towards the bottom because I wasn't accessing it that often. But now that I access it a lot, I have it here at the top. So it looks like a chalkboard with a silhouette right here. And I'm going to tap on that. And this will take us to my Google Classroom. And it's loading. So here is my Google Classroom. Now, those of you who are new to Google Classroom, you probably have a blank page. It might even take you straight. I believe, I recall, it should say join or create a class. But if you've already kind of started, there should be a plus button, just right here, right next to the waffle. So I got my correct account here, just the account holder. I got the waffle, and then there's a plus button. So I'll click on that plus button, and then it gives you, should give you two options: join a class or create a class. Now, if yours only says join a class, then the account you're in does not have the admin abilities to create a class. So that could be for a couple of reasons. One, you might be using the wrong browser. That's why we mentioned earlier that it's important that you're using Google Chrome, because that seems to have provided us with the least amount of issues. We've had teachers who have used other browsers, and for some reason they couldn't create a class, but when they got into Google Chrome, they didn't have an issue. Now, if you know you're in the correct browser, you're using the correct account, and you're still having issues with that, you might actually have to contact FSIS to check into what settings they have you under in terms of your account. So join a class will be, that means you're coming in as a student, but of course we're going to start us off as to create a class where you're going to be the teacher. So I'm going to click on create a class, and this is what pops up. So this would be, the only thing that's required here is the class name. The others, you can leave it blank. Personally, I don't like leaving those blank. However, you can leave those blank and you can start with the class name. I can name this as Module 2 Group C, right? And I could put section. I can leave these blank. I can fill this in. The conference room, that's where I'm at. Subject is Google Classroom, because I don't really have a subject for this. Section B, actually this could be Group C. And then I can create it, right? Now click on, you have cancel or create. I'll create this. So as it's creating, okay. Ooh. There we go. Okay. So now you're taking, it'll create your class and you should see this. Now, I'm gonna go over the parts of your classroom. Okay, so now I'm actually inside my classroom and you'll see that this is what we call the banner right here, where it has this computer. I can change this, I can select a theme, right? Which is, there's so many options here, English and history, math and science. I'll go to other since this is, okay. Find one that I like. I'll go with, I'm not gonna go with, sometimes even just, okay, I like photography, let's do that. So I'll select that. And it's gonna change this to this banner. You can even upload a photo, which I'll get into, and I'm actually gonna show you how to create your own personalized banner here. And we'll get into that, but we'll go over first the parts and then I'll teach you that a little after. So we have the title here along with the section. Then you even have a class code. Now the class code is given if you are going to join a class. Let's say they didn't actually invite you directly, but they just say, hey, here's the class code, you can join manually. Then that's where you would click on the home page. Here, I'll go back. We sometimes refer to this on the top left as the hamburger, the 3. I'm going to go back to my home page, which is the classes. And when you click on this under join class, that's where you can enter that class code that popped up. Okay, and then if you input the class code, then you'll be in the class. Please protect that class code because you also don't want people joining your class that you don't want in your class. So I'm going to go back to the one I created. So this is your class code. This little square here is if I want to display the class code, but personally, I don't display it because I don't want people to be having who might see it, who I don't want in the class to have access to it. You can even do generate a Meet link, which is for Google Meets, which Frankie will get back into a little later. And you can be using that. It's Google Meets is a lot like Zoom, but it's under the Google platform. Okay. And then here are your pages under your class. So as a teacher, you will have Stream, which is down here. You can post messages, announcements, things of that sort. We have Classwork, which is where you will assign your work. And we'll get into the details on all of this after just going through the overview. Okay. People, where you can add, where you will add your students. See right here, there's a person with the plus button. We'll get into that. And you can even add other teachers to have access to your page. So if you invite a teacher though, like for example, if I were to invite Frankie or someone in my team as a teacher, they will, oh, someone, I guess someone added. They will be able to have access to your classroom as a teacher. So this is really good. I can show you here why would you even invite other teachers? Because you can actually use Google Classroom for other purposes. Like down here, I have you can set it up like for example, when at my former school at Stumble Middle, our accreditation team had set up a Google Classroom for the accreditation leaders and all the participants, which were all the teachers. And what they did was all of the teachers under this portion were like the accreditation leaders for each focus groups. And then the students were the teachers that were not the leaders, but they were, of course, assigned to each group, right? And then they were able to assign classwork would be like surveys that they wanted us to answer, assignments that they needed us to complete. And it was a great way for them to keep track. So I thought it was ingenious for them to do that. So there are different reasons why you may want to invite teachers to have access as a teacher, because they can, once they're in here as a teacher, they can do anything that you can do. So they have full access and control of the page. So be very careful of who you invite as a teacher. And I'm guessing someone in the group added themselves because they saw the class code. So see, look at that. Like someone could just add themselves if they have access to your class code. And then the last page would be the grades. And this is where I haven't assigned anything, so you won't see any grades here yet. So this is all the pages you would have. Students will not have access, I believe it's to people, but I'd have to take a look at that again. The other part here on the main page stream is they even have down here is upcoming work. That's why when Tina gets into the details of classwork and people and grades, she'll talk about the importance of assigning a due date, because then it'll post it up here and shows, you know, on the main page at students what's coming up, what's due. And then this is your streaming page. And right here is your settings, the cogwheel. So here, if I click on this, an important part, I can modify the class name and descriptions, things of that sort. Okay, and then here the general information, it's class code, right here on the stream. Now this part I'm gonna get into because it's very important. It's defaulted to students can post and comment. So if you look at the stream page, right, this is where I can comment, like say, half a day, everyone, right? And then on the stream page, I can post it immediately, or I have options here. I can post it, I can schedule it, a lot like where Frankie was sharing about the setting the time for your email for when you want it to come up. You can schedule it so that it'll pop up when you schedule it to pop up. Or you can save it as a draft because maybe you're not sure if that's what you want to put or you want to get back to it. So it's up to you what you want to put. You can even add a link. You can do a link, you can do a YouTube video. Of course, like anything, please, if you're posting a YouTube video, review the video first to make sure that there's nothing that's inappropriate there for the students. You can link a file, something from your drive, and that's on the add portion. So when you're here, and let's say I just want to post this, I can't just press enter, because if I press enter, it'll just give me space here. I actually have to click post. And it should post. Now, as you see that Mr. Hardy here, who's now a student in my class, he can actually comment on this. However, I'm going to tell you now, as my first year using Google Classroom, which was about almost 4 years ago, I'm going to tell you that's a big mistake to allow students to, that could be a big mistake to allow students to post and comment. I mean, as teachers, you guys know what kids could end up putting down, and they start using it as their own WhatsApp chat. So personally, I like to put only teachers can post or comment. And then, so I would click on this drop box arrow, change it from students can post down to only teachers can post or comment. Okay, and then I would definitely save that so that they cannot post or comment. I'm the only one that has access to that. Let's go back to this, to the settings. Guardian summaries is great because you can parents will receive messages about email. They'll receive emails on assignments that are coming up. I believe it even generates information like if the child is missing something. So I personally leave this on. They cannot reply to it. It's kind of just generated to them. So, which is good. They can email you on the side, but at least they get this. So I've received as a parent, my children themselves, their teachers have used Google Classroom. So I like the fact that I'm able to receive emails from or messages from Google Classroom telling me like what assignments are coming up and what's due, if they're missing anything, things of that sort. They won't have access to their grades though. So they would have to see it through their own child, or you would have to tell them. And then on the very bottom, or sorry, then there's Meet, and you can generate your Meet link, okay? Which I can just do that now, generate a Meet link. And this will pop up. And then if I want it visible to students or not, like right now, I don't want students to see it because if you open this up, this Google where visible So I only turn that on when I want to meet with my students for that duration. And then as soon as I'm done, I have to make sure I go back and shut that off. So let's just see what that looks like. So if I turn it on, right, and I have to click save. If you don't click save, it won't. So I click save. Okay. So here, so if you look at the banner, you'll see it says meet link and it has there, they can actually click on this and go into the Google Meet. Now, if I go back and I toggle that off and save it, forget to save. Okay, you see here, it still has the link, but it's not visible to the students. So the student should not be able to see this link. Okay, so that's how you know if your Google Meet is on or off this eyeball. If the eye with the, so see if I hover over it, not visible students. If it's visible, it'll be the Google Meet symbol, which is like a video camera. So make sure that you don't have that on unless you want it on. And then the last one here on the settings is grading. So grade calculation, it's up to you if you want to do overall grade, total points, weighted by category. Now, as far as I know, it's just strictly on a 100-point system, but you can alter the points, but it's only by points. As far as I know, you can't do like A, B, C. It's going to have to be on a point system. But if you're, let's say you're doing, it's called standards-based grading, and you want to do the 4-point system, then you can, when you set your classroom up or your assignment, Tina will get into that, just show you that you can change the points to 4 instead of 100, because I believe it's defaulted to 100. And then if you want your student to see their overall grade, you can toggle this. But I think because I don't have any assignments posted yet. Oh wait, no overall grade, sorry. I have to change this to points. There. So yeah, I wasn't able to toggle this because it was set to no overall grades. I can't toggle this. So if I change this to total points or weighted by category, you can do that. And if you're doing category, you can click on this and you can change this up. Okay. I guess this one I don't have to save because it's grayed out. So I'm going to exit that. Oh, wait. Apologize. Let's see. Oh, there you go. Sorry, because I still had the categories open. So I have to close that. So I don't want that. Then I can save it. So this is your settings. So please go into this to toggle your, especially for your stream. I can't stress that enough because it was like a nightmare my first year teaching, my first year using Google Classroom, and I didn't toggle that off. I came back and I had tons of messages of kids just posting. So please make that one of your priorities to do that in the beginning. So let's go and I'll show you one other thing before I hand it over to Tina, which is a request I was getting, apparently I've been getting a lot of, and that is how to create your own banner. So here's my banner that I created. It was me and Tara, who's unable to join us today, Frankie, Tina, and Al. You can actually create your own banner. So apparently a lot have been asking, how do I do this? And it's actually a lot easier than you think. So let's go do that real quick. You can do it from the waffle. Remember, the waffle is available in all the Google sections. So let's go here, and I am going to go down to slides. So I open up slides, and I'm going to start a blank. Okay. So here, when you go to slides, which is basically Google's version of PowerPoint, this is where you can create your own personal banner. So the first thing we need to do though is, well, what I always do is I right click on this side and I go to apply layout and I click on blank. And please be mindful that everything here is being recorded, so it will be shared with you in case, I apologize if I'm going too fast, and it will be shared with you so you can access it later. So going back, so I make it blank, so I don't like having all of that stuff in the way. And then I click on file, and I try to find page setup. I go to page setup. Because if you try to create your banner here on the default, it's not gonna fit, and you're gonna get frustrated because you're gonna have to stretch it and it doesn't look right. So we have to click on page setup. I'm gonna click here on this widescreen, the default setting, and I'm gonna go down to custom. Now the way I do it is I go down to pixels. I just found it easier to remember. And it's defaulted to this 960 by 540, and I changed this to 800 by 200. It's the closest I was able to get it to. I think you can get it even closer if someone knows, but this one I found to be pretty efficient, and I'll show you. So I'll apply that, and now you see it's got this thin banners, very similar to the one on the Google Classroom. Now, of course, a lot of people are wondering, how did I do the Bitmoji? If you're familiar with Bitmoji, it's a very popular app that people use to create their own avatar, and they put it in messages, especially on WhatsApp. You're gonna have to do a Bitmoji extension. So it'll look like this. So how do I do that? Here, I'll just start from scratch. Go to Google and I'll type in Bitmoji extension. Okay. And then you'll have this right here will pop up, and it's Bitmoji Google Chrome. And I'm trying to add the extension. You guys can actually see on my screen, I already have the extension installed right here. That's the Bitmoji symbol. Now, when you get to this page, mine says remove from Chrome because I already have it added. Yours would say something like add, I believe it says like add extension to Chrome or something. When you click on that, then another one will say, I think another drop box will come up and say, you sure you want to add it? You add it, and then, let me see. You'll get to a page that looks similar to this, except yours would be logging in. You would have to log in. It'll say like Snapchat or something. I guess it's all the same company perhaps. But once you log in, you're with your email and your password to Bitmoji. If you already, this is for those of you who have this account. But I'll show you that even if you don't have Bitmoji or you're not into Bitmoji, how to still set up your own banner, okay? And so I got my Bitmoji, and then all of a sudden this will pop up. This right there on the corner next to your account holder, and you'll have this Bitmoji symbol. Now when I go back to my page, you might have to refresh it in order for the symbol to pop up, okay? Because you might not see it at first, you might have to refresh it. Now I can create my banner. I'm gonna do a quick one. So I like to insert, I'll go to image. I'm going to search the web. Now for me, I like to do a wall and floor background. I like wall and floor because it allows for that kind of three-dimensional look. You have the floor. And let's go I'm just gonna find, I'll just use it right here. So I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna drag it. I find it dragging is a lot easier. Oh, right there. Now, yes, I might have to stretch this out, but I'm okay with that. It's just the floor and the wall, so I'm okay with it stretched out. You could probably take the time out. You can actually really look and find one that you prefer, okay? So now I've got a floor, I've got the floor, and I've got the wall. Then I can add my Bitmoji, click on the Bitmoji. Those of you interested, for me, I set up my Bitmoji through my phone on my smartphone, downloaded the app, and you create your avatar, things like that. So all of the Bitmojis are set up, and I like to do pose. You do pose, and that's how you get all of these like images, right? So you can click on that, and I find it easier just to drag it and drop it, right? And then I'll be there. I'll put myself there. I can resize it. Okay. I want to add maybe I want to add something else like sitting, right? And I can do this. All right, so now I got myself kind of sitting in the air, but what you can do is insert and look for another image, search the web. Oh, I'm sorry, I already had it here, sorry. And then, oh, delete. Insert, search the web. Let's go delete this and change it to share I like clip art because since Bitmoji is kind of cartoony, clip art is also cartoony. So it'll kind of give it to these like cartoony type, right? And then just find the chair that you want, or I can do maybe I'll do a couch. Let's do a couch instead. There you go. So I can do a couch, find a couch I like. Kind of angled. Let's do this one. It's kind of an ugly couch, but that's all right. Just trying to do this quick. Okay, so I'm gonna set this down. Oh, let me get myself out of the way. Okay, so you have to really play around with it, right? So put it here, I can resize it. Take myself, and I can, oh, see there, look at that. I gotta arrange this. See how, because I put myself first, so automatically the couch was put, so I gotta make sure I click on the couch, or whichever one, and I put arrange, and I can change the order and put send to the back. Oh, sent it to the behind, sorry. Okay, sorry. Bring forward. Okay, it sent it, because when I sent it to the back, it sent it to behind the wall, because the wall was actually an image, right? So be careful in case you're wondering what happened, and I just had to, you know, situate myself onto the couch. Of course, I would have to resize all of this to, right, make it smaller. Yeah, make it proportional, right? Because I wanted to stay inside the image. Oh, there, I was actually already in the, why did I fix that? Okay, I could do it like that. So I'm just gonna stop there because I don't wanna, you can add as much as you want, right? Let's go save this. Module C Bitmoji, right? Title it.
Label the banner like the class. Somebody asked the question, can you write also?
Onto this.
Yeah, they might be referring to.
Oh, okay. So let's go add a text box, right? I can. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, so someone was asking, how can I go about typing? So what I did was, I just click on this text box right here, the T with the, right? Click on that, and then you should have this cross. See, my finger turned into a cross, and then I have to left click and drag it open to where I want, and then I could type, you know, Google Classroom, right? And then you can highlight it, and you can change the font size. You can change the color, right? You can do all of these different things. Change the type of font. Maybe I want it like that. And then you've got typing. So I'll show you. I'm gonna go back to my other one that's already like completed. So here. So basically, this took me a little bit of time, right? So if you're wondering how did I get all of these different people, I'm not gonna lie. Adding a whole bunch of different people as a Bitmoji was very tedious. So if someone knows an easier way than the way I did it, how I did it was I had to go into my phone because it's default, it's set up with only one avatar, which is me. What I had to do was delete my avatar and recreate an avatar using for all of these characters. After I created it on my phone, the new avatar, I went back into my computer and the Bitmoji was already updated to have the new avatar. Then I would put them in, go back out. To be honest, I don't see why you would really be doing that, because for my classroom, it would just be me because I'm the teacher, right? So I really wouldn't be adding all of these, all the people. But since I was doing it for this class, I wanted to add it all the members. And all of these images were added from that search right here. Insert image and then search was all that, I typed in, chalkboard, and then I did for the person who asked about the, who was asking about adding text. That's what I did. I just took the text box and then I opened it up and then I chose a font, which was this permanent, which looked like a permanent marker. And then I just typed in their names. I did it one by one. I added in, I looked for Google, and then these are all individual images right here. See, I can tap it and then I can move it, right? But let me undo that. Okay, So this was done. It can be a very tedious process to do this, but it's not. When I'm just doing it on my own, like when I did this one, right? I just used myself. It was very quick, right? You can really make it however you want. But you got to get that Bitmoji extension if you want to add a Bitmoji. You don't even have to do that, right? You could just search for images on the web or add your own images. The sizing is always going to be the issue though. So why don't I go back to my classroom? Yes, you can upload photos. You can do things like that. So let me go back to my module, see, right? You can even upload a photo. So that's where you could I'm trying to remember, how did I can't see the top of my screen. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let me do this real quick. Where's that? Okay. So I see, so you can download it as a, let's say it was JPEG. Yeah, so when you save it save it onto your desktop, then you can add it to your banner. Okay. And then we're going to get into Classwork. And Tina will take us through that, and which is where most of your work will come through. Okay, so I hope that helps, and then we can go through that. Do you want to take from there? So let me stop. Yeah, so we'll take a break. That was kind of a lot of information. So what we'll do is we'll take a break, like a 5-minute break, and then you guys can post any questions you might have, get a drink, stretch out, and then we'll get into the rest of the Google Classroom and then go from there. Okay, so for those of you who are still on, in case you're wondering, I forgot about this, that this was asked before, was if you look at the main, you see how vibrant and colorful it is. However, when you get to the module and you upload, it's like this grayish color. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. I've done a lot of research on if it was me, was I doing it wrong? And unfortunately, it's not. It's actually just Google's setup. They do it this way. I'm guessing it's to allow for the the most important information, which is the group, the class name, and things like that, to make sure it's not blocked by your image. So in case I've got people who ask me about that. And I guess I just realized I didn't even show you guys actual uploading it. So let me change back. Let me just change this back real quick. And what it is, just click on upload photo. And then I select a photo, because remember I downloaded it when I was on Google Slides. I clicked download and I clicked JPEG. So I went to my downloads. When I click on upload photo, instead of select the theme, I select photo right here from my computer, and it'll be here under my downloads file. And I named it Module C, Bitmoji. So yes, it's nice and colorful. And when you open it, it should change it. And there you go. So yeah, unfortunately, there's nothing you can do as far as I know in terms of changing this to make it the color that you originally created it as.
I missed how you added the bit.
Yeah, we'll do it right now. Just on a break, right? Okay, so someone asked if I could, they missed a part on the Bitmoji. Of course, if you're still on your break, take your break. But for those who are interested in me just showing you again how to redo the Bitmoji part, how I added it. Now be mindful that if those of you who are asking me about the Bitmoji, this is under the assumption you already have a Bitmoji account, that you've set it up. If you don't have one, you're gonna have to, I think you might be able to do it through the computer. However, I did mine through my phone. So I already had a Bitmoji account that I used for WhatsApp. And so I already have an account that's been set up like a couple years ago. And what I did was, you have to add the extension. So what the extension is, it's right here, right where my arrow is on the top right, next to my account. You see the Bitmoji logo there. And what you got to do is, all you got to do is type in search Bitmoji extension. So I already have it here actually. So Bitmoji extension, and then this should pop up, Bitmoji Google Chrome. Click on that. And then this will pop up. Except yours, if you don't have it yet, will not say remove from Chrome. It'll say something like add extension to your browser or something like that. And you would click on that. Click it. Then just click yes. And then it should take you to a page that looks like this. However, yours will say login. And I think it even has like a Snapchat image, in case you're wondering, well, why is it Snapchat? I think there might be the same account. And then you would sign in using whatever email you use for your Bitmoji account. And it doesn't have to be a GDOE account, by the way. It was my Bitmoji is a personal account. And then once you're logged in, it'll be here. They say you can now use Bitmoji in Chrome, and you should have this logo. You might have to refresh. And then when you go back to Google Slides, you should have the logo right up here in the top right. And that's how you can access your Bitmoji. And don't forget that when you click on it, I had to research this, because I was having, how do I don't find pictures of myself or my Bitmoji avatars like just by myself. It's always with like here with the heart or whatever, happy birthday, right? So I found out if you type in pose, and then you'll have a lot of images of just yourself. And that's how I access it. And I think for sitting, I had to type in sitting. So just, browse whatever you want, and there you go.
Someone was also asking where you enter your pixels.
My what?
Your pixels.
Oh, okay, the pixels. Oh, just to resize. Okay, great question. Resizing your image. So if you go to File, click on File, you slide down all the way down to Page Setup. Now, the standard was widescreen, so yours should look like this if you haven't done it yet. It'll say widescreen. You click on this widescreen, and you go down to Custom. When you go down to Custom, then it'll say inches, right? And you can change to inches, centimeters, points. I click on pixels. I just found it easier. And you go 800 by 200. And you click Apply. And that's where you can access that. Great question.
Or do you have to invite other teachers, or
No, you don't have to.
do they use the same link as what the students use?
Didn't you answer that?
All right, I have a question here from Lucille, is asking about the end of your presentation. He said, don't forget to toggle. Sorry, I kind of use that word a lot. So it might be when I was talking about toggling the Google Meets, that make sure, you know, I can show you real quick. Right here, hold on. Let me just adjust this toggling. Trying to remember what it is I said about, but let me. So I believe when I was on my classroom, where's my classroom? There it is. I went to the settings, and I know I was using the word toggle a lot here, where I was showing guardian summaries. If you want the parents or the guardians to receive information about about their child's work, not about their work, but what's assigned and what's due and what they're missing. The other one was here. The one most important is probably the Google Meet, because if you have this on, if you toggle this on like this, they will be able to get into the Google Meet. So like, it could be in the middle of the night and you don't even realize it, and the kids are all hanging out in Google Meets under your classroom, and you certainly don't want parents to, you know, wake up and find out their kids are on Google Meet, fooling around, doing whatever, and you're not even there, right? Because the blame will shift to you. So make sure if you're not actually meeting with them or letting them know, don't have this on, because then they'll have access to your classroom, to the Google Meet portion. So make sure that it's off. So this is off. If it's like this, it's on. It's like colored, right? And the other one is down here in the bottom, show overall grades to students. This is just for them, so they can't see grades of other students, but for themselves. When Tina gets into it, she'll show you the grade book portion, and you know, if you want the kids to be able to see their grades, which I would think you probably would, I'm not sure, that's really up to you, then you can toggle this on or toggle it off. It's up to you. But definitely the Google Meet, you don't want this on if you're not actually meeting with the kids. And then make sure you click on save. There you go. Okay. Okay, so there's a question here. I believe it's, will they have a parent code? So let me, no, they won't get a parent code. Here you can see that, so it actually kind of helps that Mr. Hardy here, am I muted? I'm not muted, am I? Okay, you can, it's kind of a blessing that Mr. Hardy here joined my class. So right here, Benjamin Hardy is added here as a student, and then I can invite guardians. So that you will need their email. So I would get their email, hopefully from the child if their parent has an email, and then I can invite them, and then they will be there. So no, they won't get a parent code though.
Can you unenroll student if it was supposed to be a teacher? Like, I didn't mean to add you as a student, I meant to add you as my teacher,
Yes.
but I accidentally
You
added you
unenroll them
as
as
a
a
student.
student. You
Can you
unenroll
explain
them.
that?
Yes, you can unenroll. So I'm not muted. Okay. Yes, you can unenroll students. Let me see.
You click on the student.
So right here, right? So here you can see that, right? Okay, it's defaulted where nothing's clicked. So if I click on Benjamin, I can actually remove him. So I can remove him and then, you know, do what I need to do. I can email him, I can mute him. Not exactly sure about the mute, but yeah, you can definitely remove them. And I think, yeah. Okay, let me stop the share.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So let's, in the interest of time, there's so much to do on Google Classrooms. There's just a lot. I will try and slow down when I talk fast. And when I get excited, I talk even faster. And I love Google Classrooms because it streamlines everything for you if you're a Google user. It's fairly easy. Well, it's very user friendly. And there's just, you can do minimal things with it by just posting, or you can do a lot with it. For basics, I don't know where everybody is at in terms of their abilities, but we're just gonna kind of go through setting up your classroom. And at the beginning, we had asked you all to log in, and you should have created your class with Chris. In addition, we wanted you to have maybe 2 or 3 other people who are on this module with you, your colleagues, if you could get their address, because what I want you to do is we're gonna input them a little bit later, but I want you to get the view as a teacher and as a student. I think it's important that if you know the student view, then you'd be able to help your students kind of work through everything. So again, we're going to go live, and I am going to share my screen. So if you give me just a moment to do that, I want to share my screen with you. And hopefully everybody has already been able to create their class. Okay. If you have created your class, you're probably in the actual classroom and you were working through the banners with Chris. If you have not done so, to create your class, you're to click the plus button, and you want to create the class. So I can work through that real quick. The thing that pops up is your class name and all of that. And I'm just gonna put demo class here. And then that's the only information that's needed. And you would have created that class. I think I closed it out. I already have a demo class. So what I'm gonna do, what you see right now on this particular landing, this is actually what students would see once their classes are created. As a teacher, I have several different classes set up. People have invited me to classes, so I have student accounts and I have teacher accounts. If you're an elementary teacher, you're likely only going to have one classroom. If you are a secondary teacher, you'll have several classrooms based on your periods. Okay. So for purposes of our demonstration today, we're going to go ahead and go into our classroom. When you get into your classroom, you land on the stream. Chris went over that with you. You know you're in a teacher account because you'll have stream, classwork, people, and grades, okay? One of the first things we'll do is we're gonna go ahead and add people. So if you click on your people tab, I know that some of the questions were coming in. I wanna invite co-teachers. So you definitely wanna use this if you do have a co-teacher and you're both teaching the same thing. Please do remember, however, that your co-teachers, when you say co-teachers, they have the same functions as you. So they can add assignments, they can grade assignments, they can delete assignments, they can add students, they can delete students, all of those kind of things, okay? So that's what that function is. And just very, very important, you have to have a GDOE address and utilize a GDOE address in order to be using Google Classrooms. at least for our purposes. You can do it with a regular Gmail account, but you cannot invite somebody as a student from a GDOE network, nor a GDOE teacher. So just kind of keep that in mind. All students will have their GDOE email addresses. If it's not already in the system, it will be before the first day of school. But I believe FSAS has gotten that out. Now, to add students, when we have the student accounts, you would hit the plus, and then you're going to invite your students based on their email addresses. And I have a little delay here. You would just type in your email. Now, the email is associated with everybody on the network. So literally all 30,000 emails that are here, you'd be able to find them. I will tell you, for purposes of setting up the class, if your computer operator generates a email listing for your an email roster for you, all you need to do is cut and paste, and then you would add the student. You will add the students easily. That's a one, it's one and done kind of thing. Otherwise, if you were going to manually put in the students, you would type in their names. So I might say, if you notice, I have here, if I just type in A, because it's associated with my email accounts, anything that I have in there already kind of pulls up. These are the frequent people that I email. These happen to be teachers or somebody that works for DOE. For students, if I were to type in students, this is one of my students, theirs would always be students at gdoe.net. Okay, so I'll invite an actual student. And I can do several. If you notice, I have one name up here, and I can just type in another person. So with your colleagues' names, go ahead and invite them right now. So you can click 3 people, or 4, however many. Once you have your people in, you're going to click invite. Google will do its work. And once that is done, what you'll see is this down here where you can actually see they're kind of grayish because they haven't accepted our invitation. They are invited. So the only thing you can do at this point with people who are invited would be to drop down. You can either email them or remove them. So if you make an error, you can remove the person. You can click right up here that automatically clicks on everybody else, or you can manually do one person at a time. If I want to remove this person, I just remove. The beauty again about Google Classrooms is everything is kind of right there for you. So you can send out emails from here. Once the person accepts, then they will end up being, you'll see that they're accepted and you can invite the guardian. I can go real quickly to a classroom here. I want to show you real quickly what that looks like. Oops. When you're in people, to invite the guardian, like if I have a student, you would click on invite guardian. The one thing I want to tell you about inviting guardians, this is Google Classroom is not the avenue to, it's not an avenue for communicating with parents. When you invite a guardian, all it does is the parent gets an email that allows them to create settings for themselves in terms of a weekly, daily, or daily report that is generated and emailed to them. What that report states is all of your announcements, and it'll let them know when assignments are due. It will let them know when assignments were completed and what assignments are still missing. So that's all that Google does for you. It's not a way for you to actually email the parents. You could email from in here, but it's not going to be something that gives the student progress. So just kind of understand that when you invite guardians. So do you have to invite guardians? You don't, but it's a good way for them to know. I would invite guardians, especially this school year, just so that they know what's being posted and what has been turned in and not turned in. Okay, and then parents, of course, have to accept that. Once they're invited, you can generate emails from here as well. Okay, so parents cannot get in. When you do invite guardians, it does not have to be a GDOE email address. It can be any of the other platforms that they have, Yahoo and I think someone said AOL still a thing and Hotmail and all of that. So all of those other things you can go ahead and utilize for inviting the parents, okay? So this is really what it looks like. All right, I'm gonna go back to that demo class that we created, because the next thing we're gonna do, so I'm talking real fast with people. Again, people, it really is just that. It's where you invite people, where you delete students. If a student is withdrawing, you just click on that student and you'd be able to delete them, okay? So that's what people does for you. We're gonna get into classwork right now because this is where the meat of everything is. So if you click on your classwork tab, we are going to create our first assignment, okay? Well, before we create an assignment, for those of you who are really, really organized and set, we can actually create folders here. They are digital folders and they are called topics. So let's go ahead and create a topic right now, maybe do a couple. You'll scroll down when you click on create, scroll all the way down to topic. And then you can create your topic. If you only teach one subject, then you might do it by the skills. If you're an elementary teacher, you might be doing, you know, math, science, social studies, whatever. So I'm just gonna call this demo because I call everything demo right now. So that's my first topic. And once you create that, you'll see it right here. Notice that students can't see any of these topics until you actually publish an assignment underneath it. So you can create as many folders as you want, but until you place something in it, then nothing is shown to students, okay? One thing I will want to show you with your folders, and again, I love Google because it makes it really easy. We refer to this as the snowman because it's 3 balls, right? The 3 circles. If you click on that, you can always delete your topic. Let's say you made a mistake or you don't want it anymore, or you want to go ahead and just rename it, you can do that. I've never used the copy link, so, you know, I mean, I guess it's just copying the link, but I do not believe anybody else can get into it only if you have a GDOE email address, because that's how you actually do all of that, okay? So again, you would have created at least one folder. That's the first way to create a topic. And if you notice right here, anytime you create a topic, it'll start listing all of your topics here. That way you can have quick access to it, okay? So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create an assignment. So again, click on create, and we are gonna go to assignments, okay? So to create an assignment, this will pop up. We're gonna call this assignment, again, because I'm so original, we're gonna call it demo, but I'll be even better, we'll call it demo 1. And that's the title of my assignment. I'm going to give instructions. Right now, we're just gonna load something. I'm gonna say read the attached. Just read the attached. You can be as specific as you want with your instructions, however you need to do it. This is what the students see, okay? We are just going to do attachments right now. To do an attachment, we're going to use our add button, which is your paperclip, meaning it's something that's already in existence. So I'm going to click on add, and I have options here. The first thing we'll do is I'm going to go ahead and click on Google Drive. When you click on Google Drive or you click on file, this is always going to be your dialog box that opens up. I'll always have the option of anything that happens to be the most recent thing that I've opened will be here. Upload is for when I want to browse my computer, okay? And I would look for something, and you can see I'm working with PSSTs, and I can just pull one of those things in. Or I can go into my particular drive and I can find my assignments, okay? So however you want to add something right now, just add any file. And I'm gonna do it from my computer. And I'm just gonna upload something real quick because I can always take these out. Google will do its work. And now this is what should appear. You should have something showing where you have the attachment made. Again, we're attaching something that is created. The next thing you want to do is you have an option right over here next to the attachment itself. You'll see by default, students can view the file. Anytime you attach something, it is by default, students can view the file. You have an option though, when you click on that triangle, you'll have a drop-down menu for 2 other options. View the file means we're simply looking at it. Students can edit the file. I want you to think as a teacher, this particular attachment right here, this is our original Xerox copy, right? Well, when you say students can edit the file, they can touch that original copy and they'll change it up, okay? They can change it up. And again, that's your original copy that they're changing up. Then the last one would be make a copy for each student. Again, if you think in terms of Xerox, then you have made your original copy and now you have one for every student. By default, I always do make a copy for each student. That's just me. That makes it easier on my life, especially if later on it becomes an interactive, it becomes an interactive assignment, okay? Once we're done with that, you'll come over to this side here. And if you're a secondary teacher, this is what's really fantastic. And even elementary, if you have several classes, if you click down on the classes, you can select all the classes you want to post this assignment to. So again, it's just kind of a one-time, if it's the same assignment for all your different periods, you just do it once and you click down on all the classes and it'll post there. Also, what you can do is post to particular students. Right now, I don't have any students, and by default, it always goes to all students. But the beauty about this is you can level some of your work and it can go to maybe 1 or 2 students. You can push it out to 1 or 2 students. This is perfect for IEPs. This is perfect for ESL work. And nobody else sees it but the students that you actually assign this to, okay? So you would select those things. Points, by default, your grade book would be point system. So you can change that however you want to, or you can decide that it becomes an ungraded assignment. It's entirely up to you. And the next thing I'm gonna do, so I'll change it to ungraded, is I'm gonna put a due date. I highly recommend that you put a due date on everything, and we'll get to that a little later as to why you should actually do a due date. But I'm going to select a due date by just clicking on that little arrow, that drop down box, click on my other arrow here, and then I just find my calendar and I can select whatever day I want to have it turned in. So I'm going to turn it in on the 7th. For those of you who are particular, maybe you don't want this assignment to post right away, or you want to give them, again, they have 24-hour access to Google Classrooms. I can even select a time. I don't bother with that. I'm an elementary teacher, so I don't bother with that because I'm hoping they're already in bed by midnight. But again, you can put time, and again, it's optional. Now here where you have topics, you click on topics and you can drop this into one of the folders you've already created, or you can create another topic. So maybe I'm gonna call this journals. Okay, so hopefully you're doing this with me, just name it whatever you'd like. And once I'm done with that, that's all I do. Later on at another session, we can go over rubrics and the plagiarism check. But for now, for purposes of this is all we're gonna do. Now, before we actually assign this, I want to let you know that you can, if you click down on this drop down, you have the option to push this assignment out right away, or you can schedule it. Again, for those of you who are really very organized and you just want to put everything out there already, if you know what assignments you have, you can click on schedule and you can make sure that this doesn't post until the 28th of August. And again, you can be specific about the time. You don't want it to post until 10 o'clock because you know you meet your groups at 8 in the morning. So you can do all of that and you can schedule everything there, okay? If you don't want to do anything with scheduling, all you need to do is click assign. So for purposes of this, I want you to just go ahead and click assign, okay? And then Google does its job. It's assigning it. And then boom, here you have what your students will see. You notice I created a new topic and I now have an assignment in here. Now, I just discovered I made a mistake. You know, the name of the assignment is wrong. I've already got a demo one. So I'm gonna go again to my snowman here and I am now going to edit. And I'm going to change it to demo 2 because that's what it should have been named. And anything I need to do, maybe this is the wrong this is the wrong attachment, I can delete that, or I want to put another attachment, I go ahead and do that. Then I'm going to save, okay, and then it makes those changes for me. Okay, you cannot, once you push out an assignment, just note that you cannot schedule it. So let's just say this assignment I had wanted to schedule, I can't go in and edit it and try and change it and schedule it. The only thing I can change is what's already been done. So if you want to schedule it, you unfortunately have to delete that and create the assignment over again. Okay? That is the easiest way to create an assignment with an attachment. Okay, now we're going to do another create assignment. We're going to go ahead and create an assignment. And this time I would like for you to go ahead and schedule one. So do whatever you want. I'm going to call this demo 3. And I'm going to say watch the video. Clip. And respond in your journal. Okay, oops, sorry, I can't spell. I'm typing too fast. Okay, I can't spell at all. Look at this. Watch the video clip and respond in your journal. Okay, I'm going to click on add again. And this time I want to go ahead and use a video clip. I'm going to go to YouTube, the little YouTube link. And I like to do it through here because it cleans everything up for me. Okay, in terms of all the ads and all the extra videos. So again, my background is elementary, so I'm going to do what I like to use Pixar shorts. So I'm going to type in Pixar shorts. And it's going to pull up eventually. There we are. And I already know which Pixar short that I want to use. I like Lifted, and it gives you the time here, how long it is. So you kind of want to know, you know, I definitely don't want to show all of the collection here, which is 21 minutes long. I don't want anything that long. So I'm going to click on this. And then you should now have the option to add right down here at the bottom. It's highlighted, so you add. It will add the assignment for me. And again, huge disclaimer, make sure you watch your videos from start to finish because you just never know what might pop up in between. So make sure you have seen all of that. You don't want it to be a clip where you have someone in the background changing everything that's going on in there. You know, stranger things have happened. And if you wanted to view it, all you need to do is click on that actual, there it is. So that's the view. This is the view the students will get as well. Okay, and they can make it bigger and everything. But we're not going to watch this. Not in the interest of time, we won't. Okay, and I'm going to go back. All right, so that's done for us. Again, if that was the incorrect one, your little X here, we'll delete that video and I can add another YouTube video. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. If I am, please put it on the chat for me to slow down. Okay, gonna add this in. Hopefully you guys are doing this along with, right? I'm gonna add that. And then I'm going to do all of my, everything here. I wanna post this out to 2 classes. I'm gonna do that to another demo class here. So I've selected 2 classes. I have a lot of classes. And then I, again, want to do a due date. This will be by Friday. And then I don't have a topic for this yet. So I'm going to go ahead and create a topic. And I'm going to name this video clips or Pixar videos. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I wanted you to try scheduling this. So go ahead and schedule this, right? Oops, why can't I schedule this? Oh, I can't schedule this because I put a due date. That's right away. Nope, you can't schedule it if you give a due date. So let's not give a due date. No, I can't schedule it at all. Oops. Well, we're not scheduling the video, so let's just assign it. No, I couldn't do that. Okay, so it's going to assign, and it takes us back to our class page, to our classwork. So notice, I do want to point out that every time you post something, your newest post will always be what's up on top. Now here is my page with my classwork. You can move things around. If you don't want your videos up there, you can just grab and move it. So you'll, with your little hand, you'll click on it and move it down. I want it under journals. Maybe I want my demo assign folder up there first, okay? Again, if you want to go in and let's just say you don't even want this assignment, you can click on it and I can delete it. You can delete anything. So if you make a mistake, it's very forgiving. If you notice with my topics now, I now have 3 different topics. So this actually, as I get links up, as I have more topics, I can easily go straight to that. It'll take me right into the topic folder itself. Okay. So that is creating a really quick assignment that way. Okay. Any questions so far?
There's one here.
Okay.
I know you said we go over this at a later time, but I would like to know, during the summer school, I found that originality reports has a limit of 3 assignments per class. I don't know.
There was a question in regards to the originality reports, which is your, when we created an assignment here, we were talking about, they're referring to the plagiarism. So it depends on our license, but if you are just in Google, Google for Education, which is the free account, I believe, it is, the limit is 3 per class. So students can only check 3 assignments to kind of avoid some of that plagiarism. If we have an enterprise account, then it's unlimited. So if it's giving you a limit right now, it simply means that we do not have the enterprise account. That's the plagiarism portion, okay? So hopefully that answered that question. Any other questions about this particular creating an assignment? Okay? Nothing? All right. So I'm going to move on. We're going to create something else. We're going to click on create, and that was just an assignment with an attachment. Okay. We are going to create a question right now. Let's go ahead and use questions. So click on create, go down to question. And I like questions because if you're not really comfortable quite yet with Google, but you want to make it as interactive as possible, or you want to start a group discussion, you can use question to do that. This is a real good way for an exit ticket, things of that nature, right? So you could use it even when they first come into the classroom or first thing in the morning. It's kind of their journal entry. They answer a question, you know, thought-provoking, right? So we're going to create a question. It's going to be which model of learning will kids learn best from, right? And why? Okay. Then right off to the side here, you can select whether you want this to be short answer or multiple choice. For this, because I have the why, it's going to be short answer. Then I would give them instructions to respond to the question in complete sentences. Okay. And be as specific as you want. This is just a short answer, so I don't need to attach anything here. Again, if I don't feel comfortable attaching something, I won't attach anything, right? I want to select my classes, my students, decide whether this is graded or ungraded. I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be worth 4 points. And then I can give the due date. I want it done by tomorrow. And then I'm going to create the topic, question of the day. Oops. Okay. And then if you want, this is good for discussion, right? Kids can respond to each other. They can reply to each other. If you don't want them to, we're not trying to have a class discussion. We're gonna click off of that, and then we're gonna say students can edit answer. I like them to be able to edit their answer, because if they read it over, then again, they get into that practice of finding their errors or making their statements more concise, okay? Then you have the option again to schedule this or ask or discard or save it, okay? You are going to ask the question. And then again, Google does its job, and boom, question of the day is here, okay? So one thing I wanna show you, we've created 3 assignments, correct? I'm gonna go back to the stream real quick. If you go to your stream, if you've noticed now, everything that you've done, that you've posted will show up on your screen. Okay, I don't know why I can't move down, but everything that I've posted is here. Okay, you can delete things from your stream. You can edit these things, move it to the top or the bottom. All right, your stream will get really busy by default. I really think that you should just leave this as students can only view. If you've noticed right here in your upcoming, and this is even a student view, the reason I have you put dates is because you have this right here. You know what's upcoming. Students will know what's upcoming. So putting dates will tell them that, you know, something is due Thursday, Friday, next week, Monday. Again, there's no reason that kids won't know from their classroom that things are coming up. Okay. So going back into classwork, let's create another question of the day, just showing you how to use that. Click on create. We're going to go to question, and let's do a multiple choice question. Okay. So we're going to do multiple choice, and this is good for polling students, right? We can say what is the best, or what is the best what? Ice cream flavor. Yep. Ice cream flavor. Okay. And then we're going to say select, whoops, your answer. Okay. And then once you want to put in, again, you have to put options for multiple choice, right? You can put as many as you want, or you can make it, we're going to say vanilla, plain, right? Chocolate. You can be more like, you know, mint chocolate chip. Okay. And so on. Like I can keep adding for, you know, right? I can do rainbow sherbet. Okay. So I'm done with that. I want that. I'm done. Too many choices, right? So now again, I go through and I select all of my class, my students, the points. Okay, this is ungraded. I'm going to give again a due date. You can even set it for the same day, right? And then your time. So this is like a real quick, I want you to answer this right now. And then topic, I might just say, you know, poll, because I'm now going to start creating, you know, different polls in the class. And I want to push this out. And if you see here, students can see a class summary. This is kind of neat because they can actually see what's going on, how many people have agreed or disagreed about something. I'm going to go ahead and ask this. Okay. And here is the assignment. Now I want you to go ahead and click on that assignment that you just created with the poll. And if you notice, you see something like this whenever you click on your assignments, turned in and assigned. Again, I have no students, so nothing's been assigned to any student because I have none. But once students start turning things in, you'll see how many actually have turned it in. Okay. If you click view question, it takes you to an actual grading portion, okay, or student answers in this particular case, right? So you would be able to see things and who's done what. To go back to your class, you would just click back on the demo class or the actual class name. And then it takes you right back into your class, and I can go into classwork. Okay. When you have a view this way, all you need to do is click on it again and it'll close it up. Okay. Any questions about that right now? I'm going through it really fast, right? Any questions that I can answer? No?
How do students respond to the assignments for the questions?
Okay.
Can you please go over how to put options for the questions?
Okay, I'll go over how to put options for the questions again. So if we go into create, question, and then we're gonna do multiple choice. And then the question is it hot outside today? Okay, and then you don't always have to put answer the question. Be better than me about your instructions. And then for your options, you would have, you click on option and you would hit yes. Oops. The question is it hot outside? It's either yes and then no. And then maybe I want to say maybe or a little, right? So whatever you want to do, you just click on add option every time you want to add something. So like this is a real good exit ticket for math, or for who is the main character of a story for reading, or you know, in history, what two things happened you know, in 1914 was something that you might have done. Okay, and then you would just ask the question. Okay, there's something else you can do. So again, if you, and I'm trying to just make it easy so you just have some real quick ideas. If you have little videos that you watch, again, on YouTube, because you're doing part of that, we're trying to expose them to different things. Maybe you take them to a virtual museum, a virtual tour that maybe is on YouTube. You can add that particular video through YouTube. Oops. Virtual. Oops, sorry, I can't spell. But I hit enter anyway. So maybe I viewed something that's inside the Mona Lisa. It's 58 minutes. That's really a lot. But you can do something like that and change your question up, right? So, and it would say, watch the video, and then you change your question, where was the Mona Lisa? Where is it housed, or something of that sort. And then you just ask your question, and then the kids can view that. So something like really easy that you could do. And once it's graded, you would have all of that. Which brings me, again, we're doing teacher view right now, okay? So we'll get into the student view in a minute. If you click on grades right now, I want to show you that your grade book here, oops, I don't have any students. Sorry, this won't work. Don't click on grades because it's not going to work yet. I want to just show you something really quick for demo classes. If you've created assignments, when I go into grades, I want you to see what it would look like for you. You would have all of your assignments here, and notice how if something's missing, it's because the student has not turned it in yet, based on the due date that you have given, okay? If it's NA, this means that it was ungraded, but the assignment will still be here. Again, that's kind of like your practice work. If it's not something that you necessarily need to grade, but you want them to get that practice, you would put that here, and it tells you everything here. Now, one thing I want to say about grades, Google Classroom can average the grades for you. It can do all of that. I wouldn't bother doing any of that. Just simply do percentage or points. The reason I say that, and figuring out, you know, my weights and all of that in Google Classroom, is because you will have to put your grades from Google Classroom into your grade book. It does not interface at this time. And can you download the files? You can, but everything that I've read about exporting your grades into your grade book It's very tedious and it's a lot simpler to manually input your grades. So that's the one big thing I'm going to say about the grade book. I wouldn't take the time to do all my weights and all of that because that's already something that's done for me that I would set up in my grade book. I would just make sure that if I'm doing points, then it would say points. That way I can manually put that into grade book. Okay, but it puts this out for you really well so you can actually see it. You can pull up students' names. You can sort it by names and all of that. Again, this is only a teacher view. Okay, your overall grade, you can have the settings so that the student will start seeing their overall grade, which is a good thing for them, but again, by points. My students didn't really, because they got the points back, they knew what they got. They didn't need to see their overall grades, but some want to do that. So just kind of a little tip about that in terms of the grading, okay? Because you cannot, it doesn't interface. You will have to manually put everything in. But again, you manually do it right with when you grade assignments, you hand grade assignments. So it's pretty much the same thing, but everything is here for you. Okay, so that's what grades would look like. All right, we're gonna go back to our demo class right now. So I know I'm kind of going through this really quickly. Is there anything else about grades real fast that I can answer from a teacher perspective? Okay. You can also grade assignments really, let me go back to that demo class. How you get to your assignments. Let me go back to this demo class. If I click, if I'm here on Classwork, so this is a demo class, and hopefully we have one turned in and one assigned. As a teacher, when you say view assignments, it takes you to this particular page, right? And there's only one student here right now. If I had more than one student, you'd be able to toggle back and forth to what they're doing up here at the top. That way, when you're grading, you can just go to the next person instead of clicking on each one at a time. You would click right up here and by the name, so that you click on the first person and then you pull the next person up. Okay, I wonder if I can give you a better real time about with that. So let's see what was done. So I don't think, it's the only one assignment. So here we have view assignment. This is kind of what it looks like. You can click on the first, here's names. Don't look at the names, sorry. You can just toggle up here. I'm in the first assignment and then I would just toggle to the next person and then the next person and then the next person. Once you're done grading for these students, when they've turned something in to you, let me go back. You could actually return it. Once you're done with that, you return it with a grade. So that's how that works for a teacher. You look through their assignment and then you return it with a grade. Okay, so I'm gonna close that up. Hopefully nobody's catching those names. Okay.
Okay, so
All right.
real quick,
Sure.
will assignments be archived once past the due date? I'm thinking by the end of the year, they'll have a long list of assignments. What would this look like in the student view?
For the student view, it doesn't archive. It won't archive.
So then we'll have
there.
all the assignments that were since the beginning of the year.
Yeah, once they're assigned. One thing I want to point out, since I'm on this platform right now, right up here, you will notice there's two different things down here. You've got, as a teacher, you know that this is a teacher account because you have the gradebook here and you have the folder. This is a student with the little person and a folder. These folders take you straight through Google Drive. For every class that you create, they have their own drive. In that drive is every student's assignment, okay? As a teacher, this squiggly takes you straight to your grade book. So when you're ready to input grades, just go straight to your grade book. As a student, if they have assignments, one way that they can easily do assignments is they go in and they click on the actual assignment from there, and they are taken straight into that particular assignment. Okay. I know I'm going really fast, and gosh, I'm talking a lot and taking up a lot of time, and we still have to do Google Meets, but I want you guys to feel a little bit comfortable with kind of creating an assignment here. Are there any questions about creating an assignment with posting questions or videos or just an attachment? Any questions about that? No? Okay. So hopefully now let's go to a student view. Since I'm here on my landing, if you go back to classes with the house, hopefully you all invited somebody on people, right? Click on that and you're gonna see this right now. And what you wanna do, this is an easy way, is you're gonna join the class. This is for us. Students will, I'm gonna tell you something right now. You all were talking about the code earlier. I never have my students enter my classroom with a code, class code, just simply because when they do that, they actually have to log into Google with their email address. You know, when you first log into Google, you have to have an email address, and that's how the students have to do it. So for myself, I actually have my students log into their email, and I send them the invite, and that's how they join the class. Just because it's easy enough for me to kill two birds with one stone. I teach them emails, and then they go into Google Classroom. Then I teach them about apps and how to find their Google Classroom really easily. That way I don't have to mess with anything, because the class code, if they do the class code, parents will mistakenly try to use a Gmail account, and it'll say that the class does not exist because it has to be through a GDOE network. But easy right now, if you've all invited somebody, if you go into your landing again you click the house there, you can join this way, or you can go into your email, right? I got an invite, so this is what I do with my students, and I would join this way. If I join here, it takes me straight into the classroom. Students for the first time will be, they will be asked what their role is, whether they're a student or a teacher, for the very first time. And then they just enter that they are a student. I've never had a student say that they were a teacher, but they won't have teacher functions if they say they are, because you didn't invite them under that particular function. So you don't need to worry about that. So I've accepted this US history class, and thank you, Eric, for inviting me. And this is my student view. I have my stream, so all of these things are posted here. Whatever is posted is there. I know immediately that something's coming up on Thursday, and then I can go into my classwork and I can actually see what is done, okay, what classwork I have. And then I can go into people, and I don't have any other classmates right now. So if I did, it would show up as other students, and I can email them. Students can email straight from their people account. So I can email my teacher right here by just clicking on this, and it'll pull up my email, okay? If I go back to my stream, okay, as a student, again, this is what I will see. For classwork, students will click on the actual assignment. They will view the assignment. And then if there wasn't an attachment or anything here, and there is, he used a Google Docs, right? I would click on this particular Google document and then do whatever I need to do. And then I would just turn it in. If I want to email my teacher and say, I don't know anything, right? Then again, this is just to my teacher. It's a private comment, and I would just send that off. And then my teacher would comment back to me, and that's where I would find it. But when I'm done with this assignment, I just turn it in. Okay, it'll ask me, do I want to turn it in? I turn it in. When I turn something in, let's just say I accidentally did that, I can take it back because I'm like, oops, I know that I didn't do it. So I'm going to unsubmit it. As a teacher, when you return work, you can always you know, you can return work when you know that somebody hasn't done something, give it back to them and say, you know, turn this in, you know, complete it. So now notice I took it back, but I'm going to turn it in again so that he has something to view, and I turn that in. Okay. So that's the student view. So I'm going to go back to my class. And one thing I want to show you for students, if they click on what we have now referred to as the hamburger, when you click down on this, they have calendars. So each student with your GDOE account, you'll have access to a calendar, even as a teacher. So you're going to see mine as a student and a teacher. If I click on my calendar, this is Google Calendars, but students have this. Everything shows up, whether I've assigned something or whether it's an assignment for me to do. When it says assignment, that's something that I have given, that's the teacher. And then if you notice that it's color coded, that is associated with the particular class. So here's my question. I can go as a student, when I'm looking at this calendar, I can go straight into the, oops, that's the wrong one, sorry. That's my teacher account. But even as a teacher, it takes you straight into the assignment. So the beauty about calendar from a student view, I know that this one was an actual question. It would be more color coded. You know, I'd have to know all of this. A student would not have as many accounts as I have. But I can click right on that because I know this was an assignment, and then I can actually answer this, right? So I'd answer this particular question because he wanted to. Right? And then I'm going to turn that in. So that's a really good way for students to actually see things, right? And then because they allowed me to edit, I can edit that. If I can see classmates' answers, I click on that and it would show everybody else who had their answers, okay? Again, that's through calendar, which I think is fantastic for students, for organization. They have everything that they're going to need. As a teacher down here, these are all my classes teaching. I can just click to review, and everything that I need to look at for all my classes that I need to view, it's all right here. And I know I can get a snapshot of how many were assigned, how many were turned in. I can go to particular classes and look to see what was assigned, what was turned in, just by dropping down the menu, okay, for any of these things, okay? So this is what that looks like. And then as a student, they have enrolled classes. That's what it would look like. And they would have several enrolled classes. They would just go straight to that class and they'd see what's going on there. Okay. And that's pretty much it. I don't want to take up too much time. Any burning questions? And at the follow-up, I'd be happy to show how you can do things with Google Docs and everything, how to create an actual assignment. But I'm going to highly suggest right now that invite somebody so that they have, invite one of your colleagues so they have a student view. Practice, just practice, because you will get proficient with Google Classrooms the more you utilize it. Okay, and remember that your snowman is your friend when you do assignments, because you can delete things, and then edit is just also your friend. Okay.
Can you show them how to archive a class? Sure. And then re-access it?
Okay, so archiving a class, when you want to go down to a class here, I might want to click on, oops, I should go to, here. This is the easiest way for me to archive a class because I have so many, right? And I want to archive one of my classes, and I'll go down to this. Again, your little snowman here at the corner. I'm gonna go ahead and archive them. You archive them when you're pretty much done with them, right? You archive that class, and then you'll have a section where you can go into your archived classes. Where are my archived classes? Right down here, go to your archived classes, and you can actually restore the class. And there you go. Restore the class, and it's back on your class landing right up here. Okay. And yep, that's all of that.
Another question is, can we use codes other than last names?
The question was,
Can we use codes other than last name? I'm not sure what that's referring to.
the question was, can we use codes other than last names? I'm not too sure what we're referring to, but
labeling class.
are you if you're referring to the students themselves, you cannot, because it's associated with their email address. So again, the only thing that shows up to a student in the class is going to be their classmates' names. And the only thing they can do with their other classmates is to actually email them from the person page. But the classroom itself, you are the only one who has full view of everything. So it would have to be by names, not by codes, if that's what you're referring to, because I know sometimes we use numbers on our rosters, especially those of you who have over 100 students. Right.
Jose Mesa's raising his hand. I don't know if he wants to address the previous question.
Oh, Jose Mesa. Yeah, can we raising his hand?
Unmute him?
Yeah, unmute him. Someone's raising their hand, so we'll
Okay, go
unmute
ahead.
you.
Jose.
Mr. Mesa, you can go ahead and speak. Just unmute your microphone. Was it maybe an accident? Maybe it was an accident? Okay.
Let's see. Lower his hand. We also have Luwewe. She
Mhm.
has her hand up.
Okay. Lee Weiwei, if you have your we're gonna unmute you. So if you have a question, you can go ahead and ask the question. Your hand was up. Oh, wait, you know what? We might not be
There's
hearing
only one
them.
left.
Oh, it's an accident.
ML
Accident.
Heisel. It's the last one.
And ML Heisel, if you have a question, you can go ahead and ask it.
You can't see what students send to each other via email, right?
Hmm?
What students send to each other.
No,
you
we can't.
see that.
Okay.
Okay.
MG again.
MG Uggan.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, MG Uggan.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So when you said you can delete the assignment
Mm-hmm.
on the student's view, that assignment will totally delete also, because once you assign it, it will
Yes.
delete.
If you delete it from your end, it will completely delete from the student, for the student. So you have full control over what they see and what they have. So yeah, if it's deleted on your end, then it's deleted for the student as well. Okay.
How do you PM students?
Private message.
JT
How do you private message?
from yes, DHS High.
JT, you have a question?
So if we have students submit like a doc in Google Docs,
Mhm.
after they submit it, are they able to make any changes after they submit it?
They can unsubmit it and then make their changes.
Okay, okay, that's fair. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they would unsubmit it. Yeah.
Can students PM on?
Okay.
Can they PM? Can they private message on Google Classroom?
Someone's asking if you can private message. Students can private message you if you've given them the option to do that from their stream. or otherwise they'll email you, or they can do it from, actually they can do it from their assignments as well. So if you're in classrooms, gosh, what has a assignment? They can go in and, oh, this is teacher view, but from their assignment page, they can actually, this is such a bad example, sorry, because that's a teacher page. Let me go to a student view. I'm gonna go ahead and go into my colleagues. So as a student, when I'm in a particular assignment and I view my assignment, here is where the student can private message you. So whatever they say here just goes directly to you. And that way you can comment back to them. So if they're asking for help, they can go in here. Okay, hope that answers that question.
Juan King is raising his hand.
Juan King?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and unmute him. Mr. King, you have a question? No? Okay.
So he's.
Oh, his hand is
Oh,
back
he's
up.
on mute. That's right.
Oh, Mr. King, if you're on mute, if you can unmute yourself, and then you can ask your question. Maybe not.
Okay, now I got it.
There you are.
I'm asking on the student side of the house, would there
Mhm.
be a video that's gonna come out and explain how to work with this Google Drive or Google Classroom?
Oh, will there be a video for the students?
Yes, something
Um,
we can use to help them along the way.
to help them along the way. We can work on that from our end here, CNI. We are working on a cheat sheet for students. But for right now, there isn't anything available, but that seems like that's kind of a popular thing to do. So you guys can also create a video too and put that into your Google Classrooms. But yeah, we'll have something, at least a cheat sheet at minimum, that you can give to your students so that they have a step-by-step in how to log on.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. Okay, any other questions? I think we're like taking up all our time. I don't think we'll be able to get to Google Meet. We can give you a crash course in Google Meet in terms of your classroom, because that's really the best way to utilize Google Meet would be in your classroom as a teacher. There, you generate your Meet link. I'll just do that. Is that okay?
Yeah.
If you generate your Meet link right here, I'm in my classroom. If I generate this, okay, you guys can all do this. If you generate this Meet link, immediately it becomes visible to students, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and save that. The beauty about this, so you know that this is available for students. Whenever you tell them we need to meet up at 10 o'clock, we meet every Tuesday at 10 o'clock, right? Whatever group it is. All they have to do is go into their classroom, click on that, and I'll click on it because this is what will show up for them. Then they can set up their, to mute themselves, to turn their camera off, that kind of thing. And then they would end up joining. Okay, so that's what they have to do, is to join. And that's right from their classroom. All right. For Google Meets, now I do want you to keep in mind that they do have access anytime they're in the classroom to go into the Google Meet. So technically, if they tell their friends, hey, go to the classroom and I'll meet you there at 12 o'clock, just kind of consider it like they're in your classroom without supervision, right? But you can also be in your classroom all day and you'll see them pop up. So, that's kind of one thing. But you can also turn this off by going into your settings and going down to take it off. It's no longer visible. And once it's not visible to students, then they cannot access the classroom. And it'll show you the little eye with the cross. They won't be able to go in. Well, you can, sorry, because you're the teacher. But the students won't be able to see it. They won't be able to get in. but that's Google Meet, like really crash course. That's all we were going to do is tell you how to kind of get into a Meet, but I would utilize it this way. That way students aren't having to go into an email and find a link or anything of that nature. Like some of us have been used to Zoom. And even though I scheduled my Zoom meetings with my students this summer, they were still emailing me, hey, Ms. K, what is the link? What's my password? What is this? What is that? So it was really rather tedious, if you will, where we should have just used the Meet link. But I liked Zoom because of the whiteboard feature. But for those of you who are tech savvy, if you're talking about, if you want the whiteboard, start looking up Jamboard. It's Google. It's right up here on your apps. It is free and it's supposed to be their answer to whiteboard, and it interfaces really nicely. So start checking that out. I can't really speak to that right now, but start utilizing that, trying that out. Okay, but that's your crash course in Google Meets for Google Classroom. And we're already at 3:56, so we have 4 minutes for questions, for any dying questions. or actually not even 4 minutes for questions, because we are going to ask you to do the evaluation for us, and then we'll continue to, I'll let Frankie take that. That's kind of his. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Thank you. I'm sorry if I talked really fast. We will have our PowerPoint out for you. We'll figure out our follow-up session, and we'll go over some more things in our follow-up session. But you also will have our email addresses. If you guys have any questions, please email any one of us, and we'd be more than happy to help you with Google Classrooms and everything. And if you want, you can invite me to your Google Classroom and I'll accept, and and I'll turn things into you, but they won't be done. They won't be, I'll be getting zeros on all of it. Okay, thanks. Frankie, you can take it now.
Okay, thanks, Tina. So unfortunately, we're coming to a close. And so we definitely will have a follow-up session. That won't be this long. This was a 3-hour session, and our follow-up will be for about half the time, for 90 minutes. And we'll definitely cover what we wanted to share with Google Chat and with Google Meet. And we'll show you kind of how to get in there outside of the Google Classroom. And just know that we are still seeing some pending questions in the Q&A and some other comments. I'm not sure if those are questions that are being added in the chat box, but we will definitely go through them and respond to them in our follow-up session. So we just want to remind everyone that there is an evaluation link. Kindly take a few minutes to fill that out for us so that we can get your feedback and see if there are ways that we can improve the quality of how we're presenting the modules to the entire district. And so with that being said, if there isn't anything else, on behalf of the Module 2 team, Chris, Tina, Tara, and myself, we want to thank all of you for your time this afternoon. There's certainly still some teachers out there that did not get a chance to sit in on our module, but the nice thing is that every GDOE school has assigned instructional coaches to your school, so you can definitely connect with them. And if they need some assistance, they can definitely connect with us. We're already looking at ways to continue providing the support to all of you. And again, thank you for your time this afternoon. And we look forward to seeing you at our follow-up session. If you feel the need to attend that one, that is also optional for you. But again, thank you all very much. And we wish you the very best as we approach a new territory with this coming school year. And please know that we are just an email away should you need to reach out to us. Okay, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.